Well, hey, good morning, everybody. As you may know, my name is Kurt Carlson, and I'm known here at Baudville as the director of Positive Mojo, and I'm here to talk to you today about birthdays. So I appreciate you spending a few minutes with me today. I'm not alone in the studio. I'm joined by Corey Curtis, our public relations coordinator, also known as a recognitionista. Corey, please say hello.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. I've already been chatting with a few of you in the chat room, so that's really great. I hope we can continue that dialogue while Kurt shares some great tips. After the presentation today, you will be able to go to our blog and read some of Kurt's tips and get some links to the products that we're talking about. And then you'll get an email tomorrow asking for some of your feedback and giving you a link to the recorded version of this presentation. Kurt?
Great, thank you, Corey. As she mentioned, in case you miss it today, we archive all of our webisodes so you can watch them at any time. Today's topic, again, is birthdays, and it's something that probably every organization has had to struggle with because, of course, we all have birthdays. How should you celebrate them? What's the best way to handle it? That's what I'm going to discuss with you today. I've got 4 key points to help you with your birthday celebrations in the office environment. The first is to do something. The second is to be consistent. The third is to be sincere. And the fourth is to keep it simple. I'm going to wrap up with some best practices and some great products that you might take a look at and find you can use. But before we do that, we're curious to find out, what are you currently doing in the workplace environment? So Corey is going to put up a poll. So you should see a bar appear at the bottom of the screen here. And I believe in this corner you'll see the words poll in white text. In order to get the poll to appear, you need to click that text. Should make a box appear, and I think it's got 4 or 5 choices. Go ahead and fill out the voter button so we can get an idea of what you're currently doing in the office environment. And then Corey will report out in a few minutes on what the results say. So my number one point that I wanted to start with is to do something. So we're recognition experts here at Baudville, and it is our firm belief and recommendation that you should be doing some type of acknowledgement and celebration of people's birthdays in the workplace. So why? Why do you say that? Well, of course, it makes people feel a sense of camaraderie. They feel that they've been acknowledged. But what's most important is that it actually helps people to get a sense that you're interested in them beyond just the professional environment. In fact, if you look at the Gallup organization's recent study, and if you look at their poll results that they use when asking about employee engagement, one of the questions is, do you feel like you have someone who is a best friend at work or in the office environment? The reason they ask that is because when people feel that you have a genuine interest in them as a person, that's what creates the holistic complement to where you feel engaged in the office environment. So there's no better way than to use birthdays as a way to acknowledge individual people and pay attention to them outside of the work environment. So you could even say that the celebration of birthdays is a good barometer or measure of what the culture is like in your workplace environment. So to ignore birthdays, even if people say that, well, it doesn't really matter to me, actually ignoring birthdays could come across as hurtful. Or if you're treating people differently, then it could also lead to resentment because people might think that certain people are getting paid attention to more than others. And if you think about it, in the United States, it is a societal norm where we like to acknowledge events in people's lives, personal lives, whether it's birthdays, whether it's weddings, whether it's birth announcements. So it's easy to have this fit in to your culture. Plus, you spend so much time with your coworkers, it almost might be rude to not say or do something. So again, it's something each professional organization struggles with. I'm going to give you some tips so that you don't end up having people feel like they're a 7-year-old at Chuck E. Cheese. We can make this actually something that is a positive for both sides. And before I get into that, Corey, do we have any poll results yet?
Yes, we do, Kurt, and thanks to everyone who participated. We had about 50% participation in the poll. It looks like at most people's organizations, the individual managers are responsible for birthdays. But there are still a small number of people who aren't doing anything currently. And then in second place are people who have a company-wide program for birthdays.
That's great.
So that's great.
Second place. Okay, glad to hear it. Okay, so it still sounds like it's a little bit across the board, but I'm pleased that the majority of you have something in place, so perhaps you can take away some enhancement tips today. So again, I have 4 points. First was to do something. Second is to be consistent. Third, be sincere. Fourth, keep it simple. So let's move into, how do you be consistent with what you're doing across the organization? Again, consistency is very important. As I mentioned earlier, it could have people feeling a sense of inequity, if you're treating people differently in regard to this event that singles different people out specifically so that you can acknowledge something going on in their life. So again, we want to avoid feelings of bitterness, and we don't want certain people to think that others are entitled. So one of the ways that we try to make sure it's consistent here at Baudville is we've incorporated the assistance of our HR team. And what the HR team does to help support every manager in the building, each month they route around in a folder like this. It's just a regular pocket folder, but on the inside, on each manager's behalf, they keep track of whose birthday it is, and we add a routing slip to the folder, and then we have everybody in that department sign and put a note to that particular employee to celebrate their birthday. It's a lot of fun. People really enjoy getting these cards here. Plus, it allows the coworkers an opportunity to add their own flair, add a fun note, and everybody gets the same sense of acknowledgement on their birthday. It's probably one of the more popular things that we do here at Baudville. By the way, we do it for service anniversaries as well. So the HR team is a great place to start since they have access to all the employee records and can help keep managers on track in terms of being consistent in how they're treating their employees. So consistency, of course, is important, which brings me to my third point of sincerity. So it's great if you operationalize this and turn it into something that's being consistent, but you also want to make sure it comes across as sincere. In fact, sincerity is the most critical piece of any employee recognition that you're doing. It's a common theme that you'll hear from us here at Baudville, which is why we're such big believers in the handwritten note coming from each individual manager. There is no better way to express sentiment, genuine sincerity than writing a handwritten note. So before you do try to implement a company-wide standard, maybe one of the things you could do is get a pulse from the employees and find out how would they like their birthdays to be recognized. So one of the reasons why this is important is because there are some people who would prefer not to have their birthday recognized. They would prefer not to be called out. And in fact, for some people, it even is, it would be an offense to their religion to call out and celebrate an individual on their birthday. So obviously you want to be very aware of those kind of situations. The neat thing about birthdays is they're so scattered that even if there are employees who you give the opportunity to opt out, no one's going to notice. It's very difficult to pick up on that because the way it's happening with the frequency throughout the year, it's an easy way for someone to not feel they're being singled out. Rather, they can stay in the background shadows. So again, you want to keep your birthday celebrations simple, which is my fourth point. Excuse me, yeah, my fourth point. So again, if you did a pulse survey and found out what people were interested in, probably everybody would say, well, hey, I want cake, ice cream, take me out to dinner. So you do need to budget accordingly, so that might temper any excitement you might have over some grand plan. But you don't have to spend a lot of money to have elaborate parties to have an impact. And in fact, I'd like to share a personal story with you. 6 years ago, I worked at a different organization than Baudville, but I've been a Baudville user since 1996. And at this previous company that I worked for, I had close to 100 employees in my downstream. And I made it a habit every Friday. I had a recurring appointment on my calendar, and I would look ahead the next week and see whose birthdays and or service anniversaries were coming up, and I would handwrite a card to each employee. What was interesting is that my employees were across 2 locations. They were in Michigan as well as in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So I did my best to be in Green Bay as much as I could so I could personally hand deliver the cards like I did in Michigan. But if I couldn't be there that week, I would mail the cards in inter-office mail to the supervisors to hand out. So if you think something like that doesn't sound like it would have an impact, let me share with you the impact that it had on me. After doing this for the first year, on my birthday, when my birthday came around, the employees in Green Bay, Wisconsin put together a handmade birthday card for me where it says happy birthday Kurt, and on the inside everybody signed it. As you can see, this card is 6 years old, but in mint condition because I cherish it so much. And this was the group of people who were in our manufacturing, production, and distribution center warehouse team. So if whether you have a stereotype about a distribution center or production facility or not, I'm telling you that taking the time to be genuine and sincere and write a note to each person will have an amazing impact for very little investment on my part. So those are my 4 main points about doing something, be consistent, be sincere, and keeping it simple. And you too can have successful birthday celebrations. Corey, what I was going to do now is talk about some of our fun product that we have. Does that sound like a good segue?
Absolutely.
One of the things that we also do here at Baudville, we use some of our themed border paper, and next to the time clock where people punch in and punch out, there's a central bulletin board. So whoever's birthday it is that day, the HR team makes sure that they get a shout out by putting up a note to that person. Some of the things that individual managers do is they've gone to the dollar store and they pick up crepe paper and balloons or banners, and they'll decorate each employee's desk. That's something that they do on each day. Of course, another fun thing that we like to do, since we're big into certificates, is some managers will use our certificate paper frames and our certificate paper, and they will make a birthday certificate for the employee. And what's fun is some of the managers will say you can redeem this certificate for an extra half hour off of PTO or an extra casual day, so it can have even more meaning to the employee because they get treated extra special on their birthday. So if you're familiar with Baudville, if you've been around for a while, you may know about our character pins. And I love our character pins. They're probably one of my most favorite products because you can use them for day-to-day, informal, even formal recognition. This is one of our newest character pins. So it comes with a lapel pin and it's on a happy birthday card. But the reason why I'm really excited about this new one is our marketing product team came up with and made it's actually a birthday card. So it's a birthday card and it's got this piece of cake pin on the outside, so the employee on their birthday, they can wear it and know that it's their birthday. And why are they wearing a piece of cake pin? Well, it's because it's their special day. And character pins have been around for a while, but you may or may not know that we have these fantastic pillow boxes that come with, you can also get the matching ribbon. So you can put a character pin in the box and it actually makes a fantastic gift. It's a fun way that you can have people sign a card and also have it feel like each person's getting a gift for a very small investment on your part. Of course, one of the things here at Baudville that we happen to like is food. So food is also a great way to acknowledge people. We've got a couple fun things here. Here's some different jelly bean treats. This one is a little happy birthday one. This is one of our little sweet treat packs, and it's even got a spot on the back where you can put to and from. Again, very inexpensive ways that you can at least have people feel a sense of acknowledgement on their particular birthday. So food might not always be the best way to go, but as I was looking at some of the chat comments before the webisode started, I like the idea where some of you have on that particular employee's birthday, they're the ones who bring in a treat to share. Another company that we've worked with, they have a round robin process where whoever's birthday is last, they bring in the treats for whoever's birthday is coming up next. And it's a way to kind of share it throughout the department and have people feel a sense of celebration on their particular birthday. If you want to stay away from food, we do have some fun things. This is one of our milestone charms where it says happy birthday. And of course, I'm a big lapel pin guy, so we also have packs of lapel pins. These don't come on a character pin card like our character pins, but this particular one has the piece of cake and it says it's my birthday. So it's a fun, again, way for somebody to stand out on their particular birthday and have some fun. And of course, there's always birthday cards. So as I mentioned before, I used to handwrite, well, I still handwrite cards, but there's the typical regular birthday cards. This is one of our new fun styles, but I love our pocket praise cards. So if you're familiar with our pocket praise, they're little mini greeting cards, and this is some of our birthday sentiment. They do come with matching envelopes, and what I've actually do here at Baudville is we have about 80 employees here at Baudville, and so I've worked with the HR team so that I have a list of everybody's birthday and service anniversary. And so I'm known around Baudville for, if it's your birthday, sooner or later throughout the day, you're going to find a pocket praise birthday card sitting on your keyboard at your desk. Corey, any comments or questions from our folks in the chat room there?
Well, Kurt, we've had a lot of really good discussion. A lot of people are using birthday cards, which is fantastic. That's one of our favorite ways to celebrate birthdays. Someone else has a monthly celebration for birthdays, and I think we've talked about that before. Can you share what you could do for each month for everyone?
Thank you for reminding me of that. I'm glad some of you are doing that. It's a great way to try to be consistent because you can plan ahead that there'll be 12 particular events throughout the year, and you can celebrate all the month birthdays on one day. So, for example, it's August, so you might pick the last Friday of each month, celebrate all the August birthdays, and it's a way that you can make sure you're being consistent and keep the budget in control for something like that. Great suggestion.
We've also had someone bring up the concept of employees who don't celebrate birthdays due to religion. And I just wanted to share again one of the great ways to get around that is you can still celebrate other people by having a more personal one-on-one
Sure.
birthday program. Do you want to elaborate on that at all?
Sure. In fact, when I used to work in customer billing at a different organization, one of the employees there did approach me and said that it was her preference to not have her birthday celebrated. So I used that feedback, and since we were controlling it just within each department at that particular organization, I used that as an opportunity to just keep doing my particular card program. But I would either leave it on the employee's desk or I would put it in their inbox, and I did my best to not put a lot of fanfare around it. But on some days we still might bring in cupcakes or we still might celebrate. But I really did my best to try to make sure that it didn't look like I was putting a huge elaborate production into each person's birthday, because the last thing you want to do is make somebody feel intimidated about being in the office environment. So thank you for that comment.
Well, I think that wraps up all the comments that we had in the chat room. So we will stay in the chat room to answer any other questions or hear how people are celebrating birthdays. But Kurt, can you send us out?
I will. So if by chance it happens to be anybody's birthday today, happy birthday. And thank you for spending a little bit of time with me this morning. And I'm confident if you take some of these ideas and implement them, that the culture at your organization in regard to birthdays will take the cake. Thanks.